Well, hi there, food friends. It's Ralph behind the camera.
Hey, there I am, and that's Kevin in front of the camera.
Hey, hi there.
He likes to cook, and I like to eat.
So it always works out, and that is exactly what we're fixing to do here on this very blustery kind of fall day in Michigan. There's a lot of reasons to love Michigan in the fall. One of them is
what you're holding right there.
Time.
It's the apple of his eye right there.
Yes, and you can see we here in the thumb area of Michigan, where we are, we have a lot of wonderful family-owned apple orchards, and they grow all kinds of apples. These happen to be Macintosh apples, Ralph. And I know we've done apple pie on Cavalcade before, and so we love apple pie, didn't want to redo that again, so this time, and this is actually a lot simpler, I'm going to make an apple crisp.
Ooh, okay.
So you know what, when you've got apples and you don't want to go through the fuss of making a pastry dough for the pie crust and whatnot, this is a nice alternative.
Because sometimes people at this time of year will just give you bags of apples, and
yes,
you'll end up gifted with apples. So here's a fun thing to do with them that's not maybe as labor intensive as a pie.
Especially in this part of the country, or parts of the country that are a little more northern, where you have a lot of apple growing, like Michigan and Wisconsin, Washington, and New York. Anyways, this is where we have put to use these wonderful apples. These are on the small side, and you can see how I peel them. I use a vegetable peeler, okay? And I just kind of get the peels off. I like to do it on newspaper because look at this. No fuss, no muss.
So these Jonathan or Macintosh apples, some of them have a little pinkness. Is that just from the skin?
Yeah, that's just from the skin kind of bleeding, because what we'll do now is then I will chop them
kind of into quarters, or?
Yes, and then I'm going to slice. I'm basically cutting around the core of the apple.
Discarding the core. So
right. See? Just like that.
So that usually gives you about 4 good chunks.
Yeah, and I've got 8. Again, these are small apples. I've got 8 of them here in this recipe. We're using an 8x8 baking dish for the apple crisp, and this should be about enough. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and finish kind of slicing the apples off the core. And you got a little piece of core there I don't want because it's tough. Okay, then what I do is I take the flat side and I just go like this.
Oh, so you're slicing it into
then you're making
thinner pieces.
Exactly. Because you want the apple thin enough. Look at that lovely look at that color.
Yeah, did you put food dye in it?
No.
Just kidding.
The way nature made them.
Yeah.
These are a little tart, which a tartar apple is good for baking. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me finish slicing these up.
Yeah.
And get them into slices. Okay. Then we'll come back and we'll put together.
We'll talk about all the things that go into making this apple crisp.
Yes.
For this fall season, and make sure you get the little core things out, because did you ever bite into like an apple pie or an apple something and you get that hard, crunchy skin part or part of the core like a seed? That's no good. No bueno.
Yeah, no bueno.
All right, Johnny Appleseed. We're going to go listen to more Johnny
Cash. All right,
Cash.
so we've got our apples sliced up. You see them there?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are sort of pink, aren't they?
But the thickness is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
A certain slice.
Now,
what's that?
Now, this is a tablespoon of just lemon juice. Okay? I'm going to put that in there. Now,
a couple of reasons.
Yes. Well, one, it gives will give a little extra tartness. But the other thing, too, is that lemon juice actually it helps prevent apples from turning brown.
So the acid in the apple, in the lemons.
Yeah, something about the citric acid in the lemon juice helps. So if you're ever using apples and you have them out for a while, of course they start to turn brown, right? They kind of oxidize. If you want them to stay nice and white, or in this case, some of them are kind of pink, then add a little lemon juice. Just toss them in a little lemon juice.
And I've actually found that any kind of citrus fruit will work, because I had I was making a sangria once, and I had
like
oranges
lime
and limes. I didn't have lemons, and I squeezed that on the apples that I had
that
cut.
did the trick.
And it actually gave the parts that I tasted afterwards a nice kind of orangey lemon or limey flavor.
Well, and lemon juice particularly kind of brightens things up a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. When you said it adds to the tartness, I thought, well, the apples are already tart. I think what it does is more enhances the sweetness in a like that contrasty way that when you put salt and sweet together. So lemon actually sparks it and brightens the flavor.
So then we're going to take our 8x8 pan. I'm just going to give it a quick little spray here with some nonstick spray.
Is that like a zhuzh?
Kind of, yeah. So we're going to put our nonstick spray in there. That's, because we've got sugar, right? And
that can make things kind of, when it cooks,
can burn and sticky. And so this just for cleanup and release. Okay, so here we're just going to kind of spread our apples around in our greased pan. Let's just put them over here on the side, okay? So now in another bowl,
the red and white and pink and white apples look nice on your red and white.
They really do.
There.
It's like almost designed for the kitchen. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the topping that's going to go on top of here, okay?
This is the part that creates the crumble?
Yes, the crisp.
Crisp, I mean, okay.
I've got 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, okay? And remember, when we measure brown sugar, we always pack it. To that, I'm going to add, I've got 1/2 cup of just regular all-purpose flour, okay? 1/2 cup of oats, either old-fashioned or quick. Either one will work. These are old-fashioned because that's what we like to use. And then I'm going to put in now some cinnamon. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of cinnamon here. People have different tastes as to what they might like with their apples. Some people use nutmeg. Some people
over-season them.
Yeah, some people use other spices. We don't want it too spicy because we really want the apples to come through. I'm putting in just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, okay? Yeah. Again, that's sort of a brightener.
Just kind of kicks up the other flavors and sweetened stuff. Good.
Then what I've got here is, Ralph, this is a 6 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so it's like 3/4 of a stick. But what I'm going to do first is I really want to
combine all the rice.
Yeah, and
get it from clumping, because I see you have a few.
Yeah, you know what I'm actually going to use? I think might work well. Of course, will I be able to? All right, here's what I'm going to use. I found it. I wanted to get my pastry blender out because this will help kind of break up the brown sugar clumps that are in there. Yeah. So we're just going to kind of blend all this together, and then we're going to add our butter here. So
this is ready when it's more finely integrated.
Yeah, okay. So that looks good. Then we're going to put our butter in. You could use a couple of knives to do this. The butter should be on the soft side, so leave it out a little bit. We're going to work our butter into this mixture here.
What's that called?
This is cutting in.
Cutting in, right.
And this is kind of akin to making a pie crust. You know how you do with the shortening.
Right.
But what I want to do is I want to get the butter in small pieces so that it's evenly distributed. So I'm going to just kind of keep at this and gradually get this kind of worked down. You can see what's happening. I don't know if you can get in the bowl here, Ralph, but gradually the butter is sort of breaking down into smaller little pieces, and then when we spread it over the top of the crisp, it'll be evenly distributed. And of course, the butter and the brown sugar and the apples are all going to kind of just meld together into a wonderful taste. By the way, the oven is preheating, if it's not already there, to 375 degrees. All right, let me just work this for another minute, and we'll come back and get it on top of our apple. Okay, so take a look at this. Okay, here's our end result. See that butter kind of just distributed through there?
Yeah, so it's never going to be like a crust or like a apple pie crust, but it's going to be more of like what you're doing now, just putting it on by hand. Yeah, to make the crisp. Okay, so as long as all those ingredients are pretty well mixed in, it'll do what it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, it should. So we're going to just pour this evenly over the top here of our pan. Kind of fill in all the little
and then
nooks and crannies.
And the brown sugar, as it melts, or not melts, but cooks and heats, it liquefies, so it kind of seeps into.
Yes, it melts, and then you have the flour in there as well, which kind of
creates like a syrup.
Yeah, is a thickener. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put this in 30, 35 minutes. We'll keep an eye on it. Okay, and in they go.
What a great fall dessert.
And we'll come back. We'll check on it after about 30, 35 minutes and see how we're doing with our fall. It has been about 35 minutes. And doesn't this kitchen smell like apples and cinnamon and brown sugar?
It does. It smells like fall.
Everything good. It totally does.
Awesome.
So take a look. Look at that.
Yum. So you said you were going to test it at some point. Did you do that?
No, I haven't actually. I mean, I haven't opened the oven the whole time.
Okay. So we.
But you can see.
Oh yeah, you can tell by how brown it is.
Yeah, and see how it's bubbling, and see how you kind of around the edges have a little bit of almost a crust.
Is there a toothpick test you should do though? Or?
No, the only thing you want to do, make sure is, and we could use a toothpick for it, is you want to make sure those apples are soft, that they've cooked long enough to really get tender.
Yeah.
Oh, and they sure have.
You can tell by how easily
Exactly. Okay.
The toothpick goes in.
So now it's really too hot to eat.
Too hot to handle.
And it's going to be warm for a while. So we're just going to let this kind of hang out. You can see it's still bubbling. And two, it'll thicken up as it cools down a little bit, right? Remember we had the flour in there.
Right.
And the flour and the butter, so you have your fat and your starch, and that always makes kind of a thickener. So we're going to let that kind of cool down, and then we'll come back and give it a taste.
Give it the old
sure
taste
smells
test.
good.
Sure does.
All right, well, it's still warm. I mean, it's cooled down, and you can see how,
it's settled.
Kind of settled down a little bit. And I'm going to just take a little corner here because we're actually been invited to our friend Brian is having this for dinner, and we're bringing this for dessert.
Hopefully tastes good.
So I don't want to have to take. I don't want to take a dessert with a big chunk taken out of it.
I see. So you're going to just give it a
he'll have to understand why we had to sacrifice a corner. Look at that, Ralph. See that beautiful crust?
Ooh, boy.
See, and then you got your apple right there.
Hope he has some nice vanilla ice cream to go with that.
So
I can hear the crunch.
Wow.
So it's good. It's everything that it should be. The crumble, the crust,
the apple,
the crisp.
The crunch, the crisp. It's almost caramely from the brown sugar and the butter.
I noticed the apples still kind of retained a little pinkness. Yeah. Look at he's licking the spoon. Licking that spoon. Yep.
So good.
Good.
I think everyone's going to like this, and you will like it. Again, this is a great way. You don't want to do a pie. I get it.
Quick and easy.
Quick and easy and delicious. It will definitely satisfy
for the season.
The season. It'll scratch that apple itch, as Ralph likes to say. So you know what? We had a great time putting this apple crisp together.
We sure did, and we've been enjoying the music of Johnny Cash and George Jones. What could be more American than that right now?
Exactly. And you know what? Thank you for being a part of this recipe, and we'll see you next time right here on Cavalcade of Food.
Bye, y'all.